the last part that I'll kind of touch on, and then hopefully you guys that are listening, if it's interesting to you, you go listen to it, because I think it was like a 3-hour podcast, which I know can be a lot, but you can chunk it down because I thought it was super useful. Talking about like the risks of early specialization and how like every piece of research everywhere shows that being multi-sport, multidisciplinary in that sense, and training in different ways is long-term much more beneficial to kids that are elite in their individual sport later on. So I think one of the examples they use is that for NFL players, 90 something percent of them played 3 sports at least until whatever the age was, as an example. And like we're getting more and more to this, 12-month season. And, if you're going more than 8, like you're starting to really, really be specializing in what it is that you're doing. And so like as much as the parents want to go through spring hockey and they want to go through summer hockey, and it's like, well, I want to be on the ice once a week. I still want to just, be touching it once a week. Like that is just opposite of what research shows you. That doesn't mean you can never touch a hockey stick necessarily, right? It's just how much time you're actually focusing on just the one sport when they're younger is not better. That's what research shows over time. It's not better to be hyper focused on the one thing. As much as you're going to get FOMO, as much as you're going to keep up with the Joneses type mentality and all this shit, as much as that could happen because everyone feels like they got to be doing something all the time, it just doesn't bear out over time. It doesn't for like the elite of the elite, right? The world champions, the Olympians, the professional athletes, the vast, vast, vast majority of them were not hyper specializing super early, and there's that book, I forget that, I'm blanking on the name of it now, that I read that was talking about, you know what I'm talking about?
Talking about like
Tiger Woods, the person in chess.
Yeah, you're talking about, it was basically the early adapters is what you're saying.
Yeah, it wasn't Outliers.
No,
it was,
no.
That's going to piss me off.
I remember the book too.
It's going to piss me off. Blanking on the title. Anyways, people get my point. Yeah. That's going to bug me.
I'll say something on that because I had a conversation yesterday with one of our athletes I'm careful when I talk about one of our athletes and not naming names and all that stuff and maybe offending or not getting approval to talk, but it's just a story, so it's nothing good or bad. Anyways, one of the conversations was, one of his coaches asked, "Hey, Andy, can you just maybe pipe in your thoughts of, do you think, because he's at the academy right now, and at the end of his season, the AAA season, which was a few days ago, he's called up to play in the OJHL as a 16-year-old. Maybe he's 15 still. I'm not really even sure." Which is awesome. That's a pretty good compliment. So he goes, do you think he should be doing both? So I said, well, I don't. And I was explaining it exactly like this to the kid. I said, I don't, but I said, you're do whatever you want to do, because it's like, it's okay. Like nothing's going to change anyway, either way. You're like as far as the draft goes or what people think of you and all that kind of stuff. But I said, I would think of this long term. I said, so number one, if you played for the junior A team, it's like there's a little bit more focus because it's a jump for you. Not much, but it's a jump. And you need to be good and you need to perform. It's more performance based and whatever. I said, and that's enough. But what I want you to understand is that as a 15-year-old kid, you don't even know what hard work is yet. And I don't mean that like you're a dumb shit that doesn't know how to work hard. What I meant was you don't know if you're working hard. Like you don't know if you're tired. You don't know if you're exhausted. You don't know if you're fresh. You're 15. So this is a player that has played probably some spring hockey, does some training, has practiced so many times. So this year he's been on the ice in the morning and then with his team and then some with the junior A practices. And then they just went through all their playoffs, OHL Cup. And it's not like he's on every third shift or fourth shift. He's on the ice all the time. Like he's nonstop on the ice. So I know just from being an adult and an athlete that's a lot of hockey. So somewhere inside you're tired. So I said, but you might not know you're tired. So if you continue to keep going and going and going, you'll still not know. But if you slow it down a little bit, you still might not know either. But you don't know if you're hungry or not. You think you are. You just want to play. And I get it. Like like I said, it's not a good or a bad. It's just I'm making him aware of something. I said, but what's going to come now that you're going to be a high pick, especially, and even for the kids that are later picks or whatever, it's a weird year. In Canada, anyways, it's that 16-year-old year where you have an opportunity to possibly play at a junior level or whatever. So most of these kids go to different camps. So I said, what's going to happen is you're going to get drafted real early. You're going to be playing these games. And if you continue in the morning, you got that extra ice. And then all of a sudden, the team that drafts you is going to say, well, we want you to come up and do a press conference, and we're going to give you your equipment and all that kind of stuff. And maybe it's that weekend or the weekend after, you're going to do a rookie camp. And then in between that, you still might be playing in your playoffs with the junior A team. And then after that, you're going to go to the U17 camp. And then you're going to hopefully somewhere in between take a break, but we're thinking, okay, I got to play in the OHL, so I got to make sure I'm good. So you're going to train, because that's actually the most important thing, that you're lifting weights and you're getting your body in condition. But most people are going to continue to play. But anyways, what I said, at the end of the summer, you're going to go to your camp, you're going to be excited and blah, 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 blah. And you're going to work hard, and you're going to go to under 17 again and all that stuff. But this is what's going to happen as hockey becomes real. And now, if you are tired, which you don't know yet because you're young, or you're just not fresh. I mean, like, you know the difference between hungry and not, and fresh and tired. Like there's a fine line. So at some point next year, something's not going to go your way as a 16-year-old rookie, and it might be the tiredness and maybe you're not getting the ice. It's impossible to get the ice that you had this year. So it's that might be a big mental break. It might not be, but all these things are going to play, and then all of a sudden, sometime in November or December, cold winter night, you're going to be on that ice every day with your team, and the coach is not kissing your ass anymore. Or I don't mean it like kissing your ass, but like, you're not the best player right now. You won't be. It's not, pretty much not possible. Now you're proving yourself, and now the wear of maybe getting approval, or maybe it's the stress of, I'm not getting the ice, or just I'm at the rink every day, but it's like, now I got to perform. Like, it's like they're on me for everything. That weighs on you and stuff. And then at some point you sit there and you go, you're cold in the bedroom at the new house that is not your real home. And you just sit there and you go, I just don't know if I want to do this. And the more tired you are, the more that plays on you, right? But so anyways, my point was, like, if you can dial some back a little bit, because you're going to find out at some point that, oh, I could have been fresher, right? Yeah. So, and like kids that go to junior for the first year, like OHL especially, and no different, like me and my son, like I still try to help him think a little bit, and it's really hard to say this time needs to be nothing, or nothing meaning no hockey, you're not lifting, you got to recover. It's a really, really, really hard thing. But without it, you'd never know if you ever recover. And the time off, you will not lose any hockey ability in 1 month or 2 months. Might be better for you than not. And if you just like you said, you play pickleball every night, it's a nice exercise where you're getting coordination stuff and your mind is away from it. Because as much as you get tired physically, it's mentally that how do you even measure it? Right? How do you even measure it?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I mean, but especially for that kid, he's on the younger side of all this, where like that specialization stuff, like, it's pretty early still, like you should still want to be doing some other stuff and have time for that, and I think that kind of like puts a good bow on that, because I know that's always a controversial discussion about the specialization stuff. And so it's funny to see how, as guys get older, even though they should be hyper specialized now, they still find time to actually take a break. Like, they feel like they can carve that time out, especially